This is the story of the last lighthouse keeper. The wind howled like a restless spirit as the small boat cut through the churning waves of the North Atlantic. The sky was a bruised tapestry of gray and black, the clouds heavy with the promise of rain. On the horizon, the silhouette of the island emerged, a jagged tooth of rock rising defiantly from the sea. At its peak stood the lighthouse, a solitary sentinel whose beams sliced through the gloom, a beacon of hope and warning in equal measure. This was the domain of Thomas Grayson, the last lighthouse keeper of Black Rock Isle. Thomas had been summoned here, not by choice, but by duty. For over a century, the Grayson family had tended to the lighthouse, a tradition passed down from father to son. But Thomas was different. He had left the island as a young man, seeking a life beyond the relentless rhythm of the waves and the isolation of the lighthouse. He had found success as a marine biologist, his work taking him to the far corners of the globe. Yet, when the call came that his father had fallen ill, Thomas had returned without hesitation. Now, with his father gone, he was the last of the Graysons, the last keeper of the light. The boat rocked violently as it approached the island's lone dock, the wooden planks slick with salt spray. Thomas gripped the edge of the vessel, his knuckles white, as the captain expertly navigated the treacherous waters. The man was a local, his face weathered by years of battling the sea, and he regarded Thomas with a mixture of curiosity and pity. "You sure about this, lad?" he had asked earlier, his voice tinged with concern. Thomas had nodded, though the question lingered in his mind. Was he sure? Could he truly leave behind the life he had built to return to this desolate place? As the boat pulled alongside the dock, Thomas stepped onto the creaking wood, his boots echoing in the stillness. The island was smaller than he remembered, no more than a mile across, its rocky terrain barren and unforgiving. The lighthouse loomed above, its whitewashed walls streaked with grime, the glass of the lantern room glinting in the fading light. It was a relic of a bygone era, a time when lighthouses were vital to the safety of ships navigating the treacherous waters of the North Atlantic. Now, with modern technology rendering them obsolete, the lighthouse stood as a monument to a fading way of life. Thomas made his way up the winding path to the lighthouse, the wind tugging at his coat and the salt air stinging his eyes. The door, heavy and weathered, groaned as he pushed it open, revealing the dim interior. The air inside was thick with the scent of oil and damp stone, a familiar smell that stirred memories of his childhood. He stepped inside, his footsteps echoing in the silence, and climbed the spiral staircase that led to the lantern room. The steps were worn smooth by decades of use, each one a testament to the countless keepers who had come before him. At the top of the stairs, Thomas entered the lantern room, the heart of the lighthouse. The massive Fresnel lens dominated the space, its intricate prisms catching the faint light and refracting it into a kaleidoscope of colors. The mechanism that rotated the lens was still, the silence, a stark contrast to the rhythmic clanking that had once filled the room. Thomas ran a hand along the cold metal, feeling the weight of history beneath his fingers. This lens had guided countless ships to safety, its beam a lifeline in the darkness. Now, it was his responsibility to keep it burning. As night fell, Thomas lit the lamp, the flame flickering to life with a soft hiss. The beam of light swept across the sea, cutting through the darkness like a blade. He stood at the window, watching as the light danced on the waves, and felt a sense of purpose settle over him. This was his duty, his legacy. He was the last lighthouse keeper, the last link in a chain that stretched back generations. And though the world had moved on, though the lighthouse was no longer needed, he would keep the light burning. For as long as he was able, he would stand watch over the sea, a solitary figure in a changing world. The wind howled outside, the sound a mournful echo of the past. Thomas turned away from the window and descended the stairs, the weight of his responsibility pressing down on him. The lighthouse was more than just a building. It was a symbol of resilience, of the enduring human spirit. And as long as he was here, as long as the light shone, that spirit would endure. The last lighthouse keeper had returned, and the light would burn on.